We look for different ways to keep our kids engaged and learning during this quarantine time. We thought we'd check into gardening as an activity that we might all enjoy together. Children's gardening instructor Lisa Taylor joins us now. Lisa, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. The timing couldn't be better if you want to grow a garden. It could be October and it would be all over. So I'm having fun working in my garden, trying to get out as much as I can. And I've been reaching out, virtually and trying to continue teaching folks.
I think that's such an important thing to think about, that we can learn new stuff during this time, especially things that we can do around the house with stuff we already have. What's your general advice for starting gardening with kids?
Well, if you're brand new to it, then it's great because everybody's going to be learning, right? And gardening is kind of a level playing field. Everybody can do it well. So I would say start small. If you could get some starts from the farmer's market or a nursery or the grocery store, that's a great way to get going. Some lettuces or something like that. But start small and just give yourself plenty of leeway to learn, because there's a lot to think about when you're gardening.
There is a lot. Let's talk about seed planting. First of all, where we get seeds and what you would suggest.
Well, while I was home just thinking, oh, I guess I'll start a garden, everybody else got really excited about gardening and concerned about it. So there are still seeds out there to be found. Seed houses are very busy, so you may have to wait a little while. I think the seed libraries are starting to activate a little bit and try to figure out how they can share some seeds and still be socially distant. But you might have seeds just hanging around in an old shoebox, and I would say give those a try. Seeds last a long time. I just brought out a few of my seed packets. This is the week that I'm planting my seeds inside. So I'm planting some cool season crops, and I'm starting my tomatoes and some squash inside, and I'll transplant those outside for later. So look around. You might even be able to find some seeds in the cupboard. Some beans, you could sprout those, or some sunflower seeds. Look around, be creative.
Are they online? Can you order them?
Seeds?
Seeds, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. There are a number of seed houses all across the country, but we have a really fine selection, maybe a couple of dozen of small, local, Oregon, Washington seed growers and seed houses. So look online. I will put a list of seed houses up on my website if folks are interested. I like to stay local, so there's a couple of local sources that I really have had great luck with. Deep Harvest seeds up on Whidbey, fantastic.
All right, good to know. We'll put a link up to your website so people can find those. We might as well be growing tomatoes and lettuce and herbs and things that we can use, since we're trying not to go to the store so much. What about critter hunting outside? There are things out there living and growing in our garden, and we can learn about those with kids.
Well, planting seeds is really fun, but it's about this much of the time that it takes to grow a garden and actually have some, from seed to plate kind of thing. So I always encourage folks to think about all the other things that there are to do that are related to the garden. And in my experience, 25 years of teaching kids, plants, they're okay, they're great, but kids really like critters. Critters are more like me. So look underneath things, all kinds of invertebrates underneath old bricks or pots or piles of rocks or something, things like that. And as the weather warms up, all those wonderful flying creatures. So it's a great time to start to learn a little bit more about the wildlife in your yard.
Well, what would you suggest we start with? I can find some slugs out there.
Slugs are good. They can hide, but they can't run.
They can't. You're correct.
Slugs are so cool. Slugs and snails are so cool with kids. Even though we might not like them so much, their fascination. So we can learn about their habits and habitats. We can catch and release, because I hate to kill things in front of children, right? We're trying to care for everything. So, or feed them to the chicken or whatever. But right now, as they start to hatch and emerge, is a great time to go slug hunting, because you can reduce the population and have better luck with your tender starts. I also, kids love to make books. And so you can start with like you can take an 8x11 sheet of paper, and you can make all kinds of, the smallest one, a pocket journal. So you could keep that in your pocket. You can teach kids about bookbinding. This is called a saddle stitch. And I just used a staple, but kids could use thread or yarn. Then we can go up another step and have a little bit bigger one. We could maybe repurpose like an old cereal box and some old string that we find, and make them even more elaborate. And kids love to make books. So I encourage you to learn a little bit about bookmaking, get a bunch of scrap paper, and go crazy. Go out, take your books out, and draw the things you see and the things you hope for, and write some poetry. Take it out and use the outdoors as your writing prompt.
That sounds great. Almost a little day camping out in the yard. As I go out there, and of course I'm spending more time, I'm at home all the time, so I'm spending more time noticing what needs to be done. What are some of the easy things we might do in our lawn and garden to improve things now that we have time to do it?
The gardener's shadow is the best fertilizer in your garden. So being out there and just interacting with your garden is a great first step. I find that if I weed really hard right now, there's a whole bunch of weeds that germinated in the fall. They overwintered, and now they're going to seed. If you can get out there and remove the shotweed, the dead nettle, the forget-me-nots, and some of your other weeds, do some hard weeding in April. It'll save you a lot of work as you go into the summer. The other thing is to look for sunny spots and places where those weeds are growing first, because those are the warm spots in your garden. So remove the weeds, and it's a great place to put in some plants.
That's good advice. Now, kids often like tools that fit them. What kinds of things might we, if we had a little money to spend, get 2 or 3 things that fit their little hands that would help them with the gardening?
First of all, I would not buy anything that is cute, because they often aren't very sturdy. So what you want to look for is something that the kids can use for real. They will be more interested and more engaged if you give them real tools and let them use them. So something that is like all metal that can't break, something that you could use with all your might and not break, will be something suitable for kids, because if it can be broken, they will break it. Look for things that are a good weight, not too heavy, and a good size. So this little tool I love. But if you want to get serious, and I always think for kids, it'd be great to have a place just to dig.
Oh boy.
This is a little spading. This is a spading tool. I get it. They're inexpensive, about $15. I can use it, and my kids can use it for sure. I love to have just a place where they can dig the deepest hole imaginable. It's the thing of memory for them. They can test all kinds of engineering, give them some scraps of wood and bricks and stuff, and add some water. It could be a lot of fun. I would, though.
That is an absolutely good idea. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Call 811 before they dig, because I visited a preschool recently, and the hole that those kids dug, it was like 4 feet deep.
Okay, definitely call
awesome.
811 before you dig. Absolutely.
Definitely.
And that'll keep them worn out too.
Running.
That'll get rid of their energy if they're out there digging. Thank you so much, Lisa. Appreciate it. Happy gardening.
Thank you very much. Thanks
the creative way that. It's a little hard to talk. I know there's a bit of a delay, but thank you, Lisa. Coming up, the creative way that the Holloman family, Terry Holloman from the barbershop, is putting together family dinners that really keep them close. We'll be right back.